Welcome back, folks, to the CC Zone. This is Season 2, Episode 3. I'm your host, Brankles, and I'm joined by Orion and Hiccup. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Excited to be back on the podcast once again, Excited to see, what your guys' opinion on how the week went, and, just excited to be back.
And Hiccup, you're back with us.
I am here. This is my first time on this season. I was on a bunch last season. But, for all those who don't know, I am the one who sits behind the scenes. I am one of the producers. Actually, I'm the producer of CCS 2, the other Mickey Mouse stream. I'm doing great, though. Yeah, I'm doing great.
All right. Well, today we are going to be going through each series, talk about what we saw in Week 3 action, and we'll be joined by a member of Dorado Gaming later on, but we begin in the Wednesday division. And to get it out of the way, Dorado Gaming picked up the easy dub thanks to a forfeit by Red Panda Gaming, so they didn't have to worry about that. They got the 2-0 victory. But in our next series, TA Knight has been on a warpath, and they swept Yeah OK Infinite, thanks in large part to the play of Overick and Snowlife. In both matchups, Overick led the team in gold, and particularly in Game 2, TA Knight exploded for 44 kills in just 27.5 minutes. Now, Ryan, is it the mobility ADCs that are unlocking Overick in this team, or is there another factor for the squad?
I think for Yolveric, especially Game 1, when he put it with Zuri, I think Zuri is just a very powerful champion. I mean, the champion is probably one of the best scaling champions in the game, along with just the pure just hyper mobility. If you don't have any true lockdown, it's really hard to even just deal with the champion in the first place. I think for Game 2, when he put up the Ezreal, I think it was more of allowing Snowlife to play the Blitzcrank and just roam around the map. He could effectively play the 1v2 very safely. And I believe they even ended up winning that lane 2v2, which normally doesn't happen when you pick Ezreal Blitzcrank. Not a very It's not really a combination you pick for lane dominance, but they ended up playing the lane really well. Snowlife was able to get active on the map, and Ilveric was able to play basically a 1v2 lane for most of that game.
Well, when we talk about a champion pool that is just mainly lockdowns, we saw that with Snow Life last year, and we're starting to see it again in Hiccup. When you see him back in the league, and he's playing for a different squad, and he's now with the Morgana and the Blitzcrank in the series, and they're cooking. How do you feel about seeing Snow Life doing this again, where we got to see him play a Mumu when it was first new last split?
So I always love seeing Snow Life because of all the spicy picks, especially last season when Snow Life brought out the Amumu. It was super spicy. It was before anybody even like in pro play even brought it out. I think it was just like the week before. And yeah, it's always nice to see Snow Life on these like roaming champions who can affect all the other lanes. So Snow Life is definitely on the list of individuals to watch. Now on a new team, so that's exciting. Still exciting to see Snow Life jump even from team to team and still be on those roaming champions. So it's great to see Snow Life on those. So
And it's kind of rough when we're talking about because on the flip side, we saw how great TA Knight was playing, but when we take a look at they didn't pick up a single objective in game two, and it's kind of rough on how that goes and plays. Orion, you as a coach, how does that factor when you see that your team just doesn't pick up a single objective? Like, what do you just go back to the drawing board and say, "Hey, we just need to do something different in the draft"?
Yeah, that could be multiple things. You could definitely figure out like maybe have like a different game plan going into the game because it felt like TA Knight just had a stranglehold on that game. Both games really for the entire series, and they showed that they are the better team. So for okay, Infinite, they kind of had to go into the next couple of series or games, watching that game or look back in the games, like okay, what did we do wrong? What are some answers we can have? Maybe try to find like maybe some simpler drafts or just like try to find like what they're really good at and try to hone in on that specific type of style, and then hopefully they'll start finding some like closer wins. Hopefully.
All right, well, we'll see where they go from here. Now we head to our next series, which was another sweep with DNX taking Zeal Blue to the woodshed. Another week, another Zeal Blue squad getting swept. Now, DNX just seems to know how to play so many different ways, and much like TA Knight, Game 2 was just a complete stomp over Zeal. Think about it. Exernian, Panzora, I want to say Vari, whichever. Daydream all had 0 deaths in that game. Now, Ryan, how does this team stack up in the hierarchy of the CCS to you?
Yeah, I think DNX has been showing a lot of like really good things. I think they're definitely a team to mess with, especially in Wednesday's group. They definitely can very easily compete for that top 3 spots and probably stay up there for most of the regular season. I'm really curious to see, how well like these guys keep playing because, like you mentioned, the 0 deaths thing is pretty rare. Especially when you have multiple members on your team going deathless in a game, especially in a competitive game like that. Usually teams will often make a mistake or they'll go for very greedy plays and they'll just like, way like over exert themselves sometimes. But to have 4 members on your team go deathless kind of shows that they're willing to just win the game smoothly. And that's a pretty good sign, especially when you're playing against a team that's supposed to be a lot worse than you.
And Hiccup, this is multiple weeks now where Zeal Blue get wiped off the map. And what do they need to do to right the ship and make a push for playoffs and try to salvage the season?
So in my opinion, Zeal Blue is at the bottom of the standings, but did play some pretty tough matchups. So definitely need to look at those games, review those games, and see what went wrong and what they can push towards, what went right. So, for example, if your ADC is doing really good this game, you need to start playing towards that lane instead of trying to get others on board. So I would like to see them try to figure out somebody or a single player, however they want to do it. Need to see how. Well, I don't know how I want to word it, but yeah, I mean they need to work with one individual, get them online, and see if that works out as like a cohesive unit moving forward. So that way they can play towards that lane every single game, or at least see what they can do with every specific lane, maybe during their practices, so that way they can have something come online.
No, I agree with you on that. But we now move to another contender in the Wednesday group, and that is TA Light. And they took on Blue Esports Fire. Now, TA Light is also playing at a high level, being led by multiple fronts on their way to a 2-0 sweep. Now, shout out to Dallas going clean with 11 kills on Aphelios, but anytime we see a Shin in the CCS, it's usually a treat. I'm thinking of Hub Zone. I'm thinking of other top players that we've had in this so far in these two splits. Now, Hiccup, when you see Shin, does it just bring a smile to your face, or do you just despise that champion?
Well, no, I absolutely hate that champion. Okay, so there's a reason I hate that champion. It's because I'm a bot laner. So being a bot laner, you're going in, you're trying to secure those kills with your support, and then all of a sudden they get this shield that's like triple their health, and you're just like, all right, well, I just lose the fight now, so that's good. We just flashed in, went on super hard on this other ADC because we're gonna crush them, and then if my top laner can't stop the Shen, then it's just over. Now if it's on my team, absolutely love it. It's good.
No, and I love. When it comes to Shen, because sometimes I'll pull a Shen jungle. Just if we need. Hey, it's worked. It's worked.
I like Shen if other people do it.
Oh, okay. I see how this is. But Orion in Game 2, Blue Esports had some success with Urusai playing the Trundle jungle. However, it wasn't enough to offset TA Light's team comp. Mm-hmm. For jungle picks, how come Trundle can't really pull off a 1v9 and win that matchup? Is it because he's more of that bruiser style and isn't a burst champion, or what do you see from him?
Yeah, I would say it's just not really in Trundle's nature to be a 1v9 champion. He's more of just like, especially in the early game, the champion is so strong that you can actually just like enable your team to take a lot of fights where like, especially in tight corridors where his pillar becomes such a strong tool. Also just like, being able to just have a lot of pick potential and early game skirmishing, potential, which is why, like, sometimes he's picked into the Zoal, or he's picked into like maybe even a Jarvan's, where like if he gets into that situation where he just like 1v1s the champ, he can just smack him around with a club and just beat him to death. And Trundle's very good at that. But as the game gets later and later, typically like Trundle can be pretty easily kited or team fighted around. So even though the Trundle was pretty massive in that game too, it just slightly wasn't enough.
No, and I love Trundle, but I have to agree with you. It almost feels like with Trundle, you shouldn't have all your kills and gold on him, because then that means you're in a bad spot. But as that said, maybe Blue Esports maybe play more with the jungle, maybe allow him to play a carry type jungler, and see if you could set up through that way. But to finish off the Wednesday division, we did have a reschedule that is going on, I want to say March 3rd, and that's going to be Hard Hat Zone versus the Collective, the defending champs. And that would be played at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that would be on March 3rd. Now, moving on to the Thursday division. We have an upset of the week, or maybe upset of the century if we really look at it. But the Grinchy Goons pull off the stunner with a 2-0 sweep over PGO. Now, I know that they had an emergency sub that went nuclear on the Rengar. Now, Hiccup, how surprised were you by this series, considering that you are a Puff Zone fanboy?
I wouldn't say that I'm a Puff Zone fanboy. I mean, last season I was, because I like the attitude and I like how much fun that team actually is to fool around, especially in like the trash talk with. But it was shocking. I think that everybody in our pick'ems chose PGO to win that game. I think maybe one person might not have. I'm not sure. If what was it, Dogster might have flipped the coin on that one. Not sure. But it was really an exciting thing for Grinchy, honestly. But it's a very disappointing thing for PGO. Something I would like to add is that I believe PGO switched their bot lane around in the roster changes. So that'll be an interesting surprise, because Surprise is going to be going into the ADC role, I believe. So we'll see what happens.
And Orion, what can you say about their decision to make these roster changes?
I'm not quite sure, because we don't have a lot of the insider, like in terms of like being with the team's practices and scrims and figuring out like what goes on an individual basis behind the scenes for the teams. But hopefully, with the changes. Oh wow, I can't think of the word, but change of pace for this team hopefully be a good thing, because last week they had the 2-1 loss, I think, and then this week, or the week before, they got 2-1, and this past week they got 2-0'd. So it's definitely looking pretty. I wouldn't necessarily say grim for this team, but maybe a wake up call is necessary for them. It's like, hey, that these like there are teams in this league that can take games off of you, and you need to be more like mentally prepared in terms of like how you're drafting and what you're actually looking to execute upon. And obviously, the emergence, the ESUB doesn't really help their case too well because I mean, if they have their full squad, maybe things go differently for them. But I do think that this could be a pretty good wake up call for PGO, and hopefully they get things situated and figured out. And because we're getting close to midway part of the season where things start like really get important. Every win gets you closer to playoffs, and that's what every team is reaching for. So have to wait and see, like in terms of like if these adjustments are going to help them make playoffs. Hopefully this is the case, but if not, then they might have to figure out something else soon.
Mm-hmm.
And sticking with you, Orion, we're talking about a PGO squad that went 2-1 last week, and it was they lost 2-1, and it was a tough match. And now they won. They won 2-1. Okay. But now they lose 2-0 to one of the bottom teams in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessarily, because I know you were saying, hey, maybe this is a wake-up call. Do you think they should go back to what was successful for them last year? Or should they go back to the drawing board and say, hey, let's try to find a way to play through different lanes?
I wouldn't necessarily say like going back to the drawing board. I feel like, especially PGO, they kind of have like a pretty good identity, especially with both their drafts. They had a pretty safe bot lane, and they tried to play through their carry top laners, especially with Puffzone. Puffzone's kind of the guy that likes to talk a lot of talk, but also tries to back it up as well. But game 2, the lane matchup between Volibear and Aatrox probably goes in the favor of Aatrox, and he kind of showed that. Having a pretty solid game, also Puffzone only going 1-6, so having a pretty rough game himself. But I feel like maybe just have like maybe just a little bit easier drafts to execute. I mean, they have their jungler was playing the Warwick, and I'm not sure who was the ESA player on this team. I had to go back and check. But
I think it was on I think it was on the other team.
Oh, okay.
ESA.
Yeah,
the Rengar had like 16 kills.
Yeah, so I mean, there could have been like some unpredictability there in terms of like the Rengar pick. Obviously in scrims, you probably don't play against Rengar very much, so like that act of surprisability can like very caught them off guard game 1, and then once you lose that game 1, it's like at that point it's if you lose you're done. So it's a pretty unlucky break for PGO losing one series, but I don't think it's going to be end of the world for this team. But getting 2-0'd by a bottom half of the team is kind of like it's not a very good look for you, but I do believe someone mentioned to me how like PGO last split or last when they played the CCS last time, they lost to a bottom half of the team, and then they figured things out, and then they kind of ran the table afterwards. So hopefully for them, they'll be able to do a very similar thing this upcoming split, and hopefully they figure things out.
And before we move on to the next series, I'd like to say I do think PGO still has what it takes to make a run in the playoffs, because as much as it's like, oh wow, they got 2-0 swept by Grinchy Goons, one of the bottom teams, I've seen what Puffzone and the rest of the squad can do. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I really appreciate whenever I saw, I can't remember which series it was last year, but Puffzone was playing the Shen, and he could have been ultra aggressive, and I think he only ended up with 2 kills. But that's the thing, is like they know how to play through different lanes, and I think that's going to suit them well going forward, because they don't necessarily have to rely on one player like some other teams in the CCS, where you're like, oh, hey, if Philly B doesn't have the greatest of games, we're screwed, or it's Rowdy Randy now. But so we'll see what happens in the future for PGO, but I do like their chances going forward still. But moving on. We had another sweep in the Thursday division. This was Team Death Realm they took down Crosspoint Origins. And Orion, TDR got the power pick in the Caitlyn, and they were able to punish them with 12 kills. Now, why is this pick so dangerous, and especially why allow them to get first pick on that?
So a champion like Caitlyn has the most attack range out of any AD carry, especially early on into the game. So if you're a good Caitlyn player, you're able to very easily punish the enemy AD carry. Anytime they go for a minion, you can always trade autos for them. And if you're good enough, the AD carry can't actually trade autos back. So that's what really makes a good Caitlyn player. Also being able to being able to slow push your waves and crash them underneath your tower, crashing a huge waves, the way you're able to maximize your damage on the tower while also still being able to punish them underneath it, making sure they can't just farm minions for free. But Caitlyn, as a champion, has got nerfed a little bit in a couple patches, so people have been kind of forgetting about her, or they're more prioritizing the Zuris and the Jinxes more often than just the Caitlyn's. Also, a champion like Caitlyn, like I mentioned, in order to be really good at it, you have to win laning phase very, very hard, because she definitely does get outscaled by the champions like the Zuri, the Jinxes, and the Aphelioses in terms of just raw team fighting. So, but if you get an early enough lead and you're able to transition Caitlyn to multiple lanes and get multiple tower plates, she can really take over at mid game, which is what TDR did in this game.
Mm-hmm. And I fully agree with you on that. And Hiccup, CPO has had a rough outing so far this year, and I know some of it has to do with scheduling, but how do you feel about this team and what can they do to turn it around? Or is it just a factor of they've faced some of the top teams?
So, I mean, besides the fact that, yes, they have faced some of the top teams, and that is a difficult thing, I really do think they need to work on their drafting. Game 1, for example, they chose the Ornn, the Jax, Ashe, Morgana, and Sona, and there's not very much damage there. Especially not early. And when you're playing against something like the Caitlyn, like Orion brought up, they're just going to poke you out the entire time, and you're not really able to do very much. They're playing towards those ultimates, but they're not having any sustained damage throughout the entire team fights. So they had a lot of difficulty on that first game, so I would like to see better drafting on their part, as well as playing towards a specific lane. I think that will increase their chances of winning these games. And going forward, they do have an easier schedule, so I would like to see them pop off in those, so that way they can show that they are a contender towards these later stages of the season.
And now we move on to one of the top teams, if not one of the, not if this is actually one of the top teams in the CCS, in my opinion, and that is Horizon Gaming. A roster change, and they are looking even more scary, with Gregorio and others on the squad as they swept Shadows. And Bravo was not kidding when he said that they're just going to get even better, and Game 1 was an impressive showing. Desirus went 7-0-9 on the Jinx, while Kaiser Uwu chipped in with a 10-5-4 showing on the Veigar. Now, Ryan, this new roster is looking great already. Where do you project them so far for the rest of the split?
Yeah, I think a team like Horizon definitely is going to stay towards the top of the Thursday group. I mean, even though they had the roster change, we had Bravo on. We've also had Sultan on the analyst as well. So they've been providing a lot of insight, talking about how Gregorio is going to be a pretty solid fit for them. Also, their AD carry Desarius, had a very stellar Jinx game as well. So it definitely looks like the team is continuing on their path in terms of looking to do very well in the regular season and just continuing to improve going into the postseason. So definitely look for them to continue to be a very top team in Thursday's group.
And don't forget, in the trash talk, Gregorio made mention that he was playing on a MacBook Pro while he was on vacation. I don't know where he was on vacation. I could not imagine playing League while I was on vacation, but kudos to him to stepping in for his team. But, Hiccup, Shadow Z didn't go quietly into the night. Now, they only got one objective, but Blue Shift did go 7-7-5 on J4. Should this team play more through the jungle going forward, or is the meta not really there and they need to, maybe go back to the drawing board?
So, Blue Shift did go 7-7-5, and it was a good game for Blue Shift. However, a lot of those I feel like should have went on something like the Aphelios. So maybe use that J4 to give your team more of that advantage. For example, Gregorio on the first game he put out as the Hecarim, he went 0-2-12, so a lot of his stuff was all onto his teammates. So maybe play something that's more utility based for your team to get ahead instead of playing just through the jungle. If you want to play just through the jungle, play something a little bit more aggressive, something that can actually try to 1v9. Whereas the J4, in my opinion, doesn't really 1v9, however, is very utility based and wants his team to get ahead. So maybe play more towards the bottom to feed that Aphelios, who went 3-3, I believe.
And great points on that. And then we wrap up our games from week 3 with Sensei Squad earning the gritty 2-1 victory over Iconic Severance. Now listen, Sensei Squad came out swinging with Veneris, nuking Iconic with 20 kills on the Victor. However, Game 2, they were slaughtered like the Uchiha clan, with Hunter Wolf Steel murdering everyone with the Trundle. But Game 3 was rode on the backs of an Aquatic Bear and Matrix Shadow closing it out with Lucian. Now, how impressive was it, Hiccup, to see Sensei Squad bounce back from a lackluster Game 2?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. It's always nice to see people's mental not break down. It's always it's always nice to see that those building blocks being there, being able to work together to get to that next like step. Honestly, that's what makes a team. It's that ability to not go quietly into the night and just come back and fight and not give up, and that's what gets them wins. So I love to see it.
All right, and Orion, was it ballsy to allow Iconic to get the Trundle again and face it a second time? Because I want to say he had 12 kills and 0 deaths for Iconic in Game 2, but Game 3 they were able to shut it down. Was it ballsy to do that?
I wouldn't necessarily say ballsy, because I mean we kind of talked about how like the Trundle can sometimes be a champion that, while it is very very strong in the early game, a lot of times it can like be more of a facilitator as the game goes on. He did have a 12-0-5 game, so maybe he was already feeling like very confident. But if you look at Game 3, the champion only went 5-7-4, so he didn't have a very a similar game as to what he was looking to do at the same time. So they definitely had a little bit of a better plan. They kind of knew, hey, if we draft around a little bit better, like if you look at their tools, like they have the Vagar, they have the Baram, so it's like they're actually able to kind of play around those champions, play around the Trundle a little bit easier. So like the Trundle can't just walk at you for free. He has to walk around. He has to walk through a Baram, walk around a Vagar cage. So I don't think that they planned around it much better going into Game 3, and it allowed them to get a victory.
All right, well, folks, we also had one reschedule this weekend that's going on for the Thursday division, as Goldfish Gaming is currently taking on Zoal White. So we'll have those results probably later on this into the evening. So we'll have like an understanding of where we're at with the standings. But we're going to be soon joined by Zoal of Dorado Gaming. I don't know if he can hear us. I know that he does not have a webcam, but for those at home, you should be able to hear his voice. Zoal, are you there?
Yeah, hi. Just waiting for you to finish up, but yeah, I'm here.
All right, well, Zoal, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Just gonna take a little break from working from home. So just gonna hop in here. My players are actually gonna be scrimming right now. So unfortunately, none of them could join us for the interview, but I guess I'll have to do.
All right, well, Zoal, first question is that you guys are, one of the new leagues or new orgs in this league in the CCS. So how are you guys feeling about the CCS, and how are you guys feeling as a team so far with 3 weeks of play?
Well, I mean, CCS, it's we've had our eyes on the league for a while now. I think from last season we joined in. I can't remember exactly how we joined in. I think one of the members of our community, maybe it was Martial Arts for Y, he played in it, told us about it, and we took a look around and we decided we want to send a team to this league eventually, and then we ended up deciding to send Omega, since this is pretty much a dedicated plat league, and a lot of our teams are kind of low diamond, high plat teams, so they wouldn't have been allowed in here. But we decided, Omega, we're going to send you guys, and we want you guys to do what our other teams do, and try to win us the competition. Right? It's Year of the Dog, and we're trying to take over every league, and we're always aiming to be the finalist, to be the winner, and Omega is no exception.
Well, Zoal, I got to tell you, it's really cool to see and hear, players like Martial Arts for Y, recommending. It only seems like yesterday we were interviewing him, Hiccup, and he's talking about his big ass forehead. But it's great because it really it talks about the the growth and the health of the league. And Zoal, my first question for you about so far this season is, what was it like when you guys hit the hit week 1 and you guys were game planning and getting ready?
Well, I mean, we're not new to this, right? I mean, the Omega roster, it is a new roster. The Omega team has existed before. We built it this season, but me and Hoshi, we have relatively a lot of experience with this. So it wasn't a surprise coming in week 1, right? We weren't maybe some players had the jitters. Maybe we're a little nervous because it was going to be their first official league game. But even then, Omega participated in the play-in tournament. They made it into the semifinals, and they've only been getting better since. So we were confident in them, and they're 2-1 right now. They lost to DNX up until now, I believe. But I still, I don't think there was too many jitters, at least from the ownership side, right? I think we were. It was just kind of another, a day of business, something that we were kind of used to at this point.
And Orion, do you got any questions for him about about their roster and their picks?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like how do you feel like, personally Dorado Gaming has been playing? I mean, obviously they've only lost to DNX so far. They're currently sitting at a 4-3 game record. Kind of like slightly above middle of the pack, just sitting like right now currently fifth, but tied for fourth, I believe. So do you feel like there's a lot of room for improvement, or do you feel like they're like kind of like where do you think their peak is at in terms of this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they could make a deep run in the playoffs and potentially win it all. I mean, I think that at least for me and for Hoshi, we have very high standards for ourselves and for our teams. And we're always happy to watch them win. I love when my players are happy. I care about my players, and I enjoy watching them be happy with their wins. But I also never let them get too complacent. I remind them that the job's not done. If you guys have seen like that Kobe quote where he's like, you guys just won this game. Why aren't you smiling? And it's like, did we win yet? No. And I think that's kind of the attitude that we have around Dorado. We want them to have fun. But we also, they know what they're signing up for when they're playing with us. And they're always being asked to improve, and they've been doing it. The players, they started off rough, but every in the org, we'll do inner like scrims with their sister teams. And honestly, I mean, these scrims are harder than I don't, maybe this sounds a little presumptuous, but I think these scrims are harder than any team that play in CCS or like in a lot of leagues, and this applies to every other sister team. So we think that they have the tools to get better, and I mean they're taking advantage of them. They started rough, they're looking better and better each week, and each of the players, they've grown a lot, and I'm excited to watch them, get better and better. And they at the same time while they're aiming to win CCS, they're also aiming to beat out their sister teams, which are very strong teams in their own right.
Well, Orion, I know that you have to head off because you're going to be calling a game tonight. Thank you so much, Orion, for joining us, and I hope you have fun tonight, man.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Zoal, for coming on. I appreciate you answering my question. Overall, I think your team definitely has a lot of upside, like you mentioned. Being able to play against these sister teams, like you can have a lot of internal practice. You don't have to give away a lot of like information on picks and stuff, which is pretty unique. There's a lot of teams that actually have a lot of access to that in terms of like being able to play very high quality sister teams. So that's definitely really good for you guys, but. Like Breako said, unfortunately, I am going to go color cast at this time. But hope you guys have the rest of a fun time on the podcast.
Yeah, you too.
All right, well, catch you later, Orion. Now let's move to a. Zol, I got a question for you. Now I'm looking at your roster. Out of all of your players that you have on there, for Omega, who's the guy that makes you laugh the most? Because we've asked other teams, and they have like, oh, there's always that one guy that cracks a joke that keeps us glued together and happy. Who do you guys have for Omega?
I think that probably the person that I guess the glue, I guess you could say, someone that kind of really brings the team together. I think they all contribute in their own ways, but I will have to say that I do think that ever since DBG Naysayer joined the team, he's been one of the central parts of the team, keeping everybody together. But everybody has a really good attitude. Everybody contributes a little bit different. Musha is always staying calm. Pepe is the little zoomer. Pepe being Pepecito Municini, we call him Pepe. He's the little zoomer up top lane, keeping the energy high. And everyone just kind of, contributes their own little to the team environment. So, in terms of that, I can't really pin it on one player. Everybody, has their part. And I think, it really helps having, great personalities in a team like this to keep a healthy team dynamic.
And Hiccup, when you see, because we were there, halfway through the season with the CCS, and we got to see that it was 10 teams down to 9 teams, but now we're looking at 20 teams. What's it like when we get to interact with the owners and see how much they care about joining this league?
Yeah, it's super awesome. Obviously, I started, I think, in like week 4 or something of the last split. I was really excited to be here, and it's a really great community, a lot of fun spending time with different people and making fun of Flay. Um, but yeah, it's great to see the multitude of teams that are here, especially after losing, I think, one, almost two teams last season. It's great to see that people enjoyed the community so much that they're telling other teams, other organizations, Martial Arts for Why. Thanks for that. We appreciate that more than anything. It's great. And being able to interact with all these people, everybody I've met so far, they're amazing people. And I do this because I enjoy meeting those people. So this is a lot of fun for me, and I appreciate everything that everyone does. So yeah.
Right. Well, Zoal, my question for you is, for you guys, with the ownership group, how was it interacting with Lord Mickey Mouse Flay himself and joining the CCS? Take us, peel the curtain back and let us know what it was like for you guys as ownership group.
Yeah, I mean, Flay's been pretty proactive. He's always been reaching out, talking to us. I'm sure if he talks to other owners as much as he does with me and Hoshi, that this is an amazingly run league. There's a lot of communication, a lot of transparency. I think the things like the surveys that he'll have, or just the personal questions about how he can improve the league. I think these are all really good tools for him to help improve the league. And I mean, he's asked me for a lot of my input on certain things. We've talked about actually I won't leak it because I'll let Flay potentially leak some of the stuff if for future plans of the league. But I think when compared to other leagues, we play in a lot of other leagues. We play in Aegis, Victorious, and all these other big leagues. I think that CCS is well on route to be one of those leagues if they keep it up at this pace. And I think that the fact that the owner here in Flay is so proactive in interacting with the owners of the orgs in his league. I think that's a really good sign, and I think that it's a good omen. I mean, like you said, the league is 20 teams now. That's bigger than a lot of other leagues that we've played in. Comparable. The biggest leagues that we play in have around 32, 28 teams. So you're not too far off from these highest, these biggest leagues, these big name leagues. So I think CSS is definitely on their way up, and we're excited to watch it. And I mean, we're definitely planning on winning this league. If not this, this season, next season, whatever season, but we're winning this league, and we're not, we're not giving up until we do.
And it's all something that for Hiccup and I, we've been a part of league for a while, and for you yourself, what's it like being the owner of a team and seeing how far it's grown? And seeing where you guys started off and where you're at now. What's it mean to look at your guys' journey?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, at this point, especially recently, I just look back and it's it's easy to lose perspective of where we started, and more so in that, I think back and I'm like, wow, we were so horrible. Mainly because, the original dog team was me and Hoshi. We had kind of like this. I had the concept for our logo. I'm the one that thought of it, but one of our co-owners, Efron, who also played with us in this first team, his fiance, drafted up this kind of logo for us. And there was a version 1. Maybe I can share it. Not right now, but I can share it with you guys at some point, so you guys can kind of see the prototype of what we have now. Well, okay, that was a long backstory. The point is, it was the 3 of us and a couple of other friends. We had our league. Our first league was PRL, and we were horrible. I think our final record was 5-9. And the funniest thing is that even though we were 5-9, me and Hoshi were in the banter channel every single match, every day, just talking smack to somebody, telling them, what, you beat us, but you still suck. And we didn't even make playoffs that split, but we actually managed to. I don't remember exactly what split we made our first expansion team, but I think maybe 2 splits later. The next split we actually made playoffs. We got knocked out round 1, but we were actually looking like a good team. But then we kind of just started blowing up. I think we've grown a lot. I mean, our first team expansion, Dorado Gaming Zeta, that was around maybe March of last year, and now we have 8 teams. And we've won a couple of trophies. We've made a lot of finals appearances, semifinals, and now we have a lot of teams. Omega was actually, I think, our 4th, 5th team. They played a season in Risen, and it's been a pretty upward trajectory. I mean, we didn't expect to be here. I think we got a little lucky, that people wanted to play for us at the beginning. Just a round 1 playoff team. Why would anybody want to join us? But thankfully, we actually managed to pick up a lot of great players. And our first expansion team, right off the bat, they won PRL in their first split. So that's kind of where we started going from. And it helped us a lot. That those 5 players that won us the league, 6 players, they actually had a sixth man that was subbing in a lot. Them winning that league kind of sent us on this trajectory where people were like, Dorado wins leagues. Dorado is the place to be. We started making more and more expansion teams, and now people want to join us. So quick plug: if you think you're cut for the Dorado cloth, reach out to me. We're not having tryouts right now, but we're always looking for the best of the best. And if you think that's you, we're here. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of our story, and that's where we're at now. And sometimes, yeah, like I said, it's funny looking back, and we're like, wow, we're so bad. And now, we're looking to win every league we play in, and hopefully, we come out with a lot of championships in a month or so.
Well, Hiccup, we just got a great history lesson there from from Zoal about Dorado. Does it make you feel old that we've been a part of playing this game for as long as we have been?
Do I have to answer? I mean, like,
Yeah.
does it make me feel old? Yeah. I mean, I feel old. Period. But yeah, I mean, hearing history lessons about how long the organization's been going on and how long I've been a part of certain organizations and the league scene, it definitely like brings me back to like my first days being a part of Tectonic, which nobody knows about with good right. Um, so yeah, definitely a throwback. But it's great to see. It's great to see some of the older League of Legends players still being a part of these communities, with all these new players coming in. So makes that community way bigger, more tight knit, and then maybe some of the older gents can. Or players rather can teach some of them younger players, hey, don't int on Tarek Jungle.
All right, yeah, I feel like I'm being picked on, but
Yeah.
yeah, it makes
Yeah.
it makes me feel old because I played Zoal. I played League back. I started playing my senior year of high school, and I graduated in 2013. So I've been I've been playing League for a while. I'm not great at it. I just really enjoy playing with friends and stuff. But I really do love watching you guys. I like watching all the teams play. So it's so much fun. But my next question, Zol, is: have you guys had any chance to watch the watch the week reaction videos?
Yeah, actually, I think I've watched the last 2 or 3. I don't know how long they've been going on, but I know 100% I've watched the last 2 or 3. I think they're hilarious. I really like them. They're fun meme content. Uh, yeah, I mean, things like that make this league really enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm Hiccup and I have been joking that Zeal is going to come after me and hunt me down because for whatever reason, it just always ends up there being attacked in their videos. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should do a little better, and they wouldn't get joked on, right?
Hey,
But I
hey,
mean, it's all in good fun, right? It's all in good fun. We're all
yeah,
here to have fun. We're not professionals.
you're right. You're right. Hey, so I can back up Zeal a little bit. Zeal White did beat Grinchy Goons. Grinchy Goons did beat PGO. Zeal White, PGO.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Maybe.
I know PG Predictive Gaming. Or did you say they beat them or?
Sorry.
She Goons did beat.
Zeal White beat Grinchy Goons 2-0. Grinchy
Okay.
Goons beat PGO.
Oh,
Right.
okay. I mean,
So Zeal
I mean,
White
okay. I
better
mean,
than PGO, maybe.
I mean that's a possibility. I'll be honest with you. Okay, I've been pretty PR up until now, but we're gonna talk about teams. We can get a little bantery, and I'll have to say, I'm not all that impressed
Yes.
by PGO. I think they're a solid plat team. I'm not too worried about them. It was fun. It's fun playing against them. They're trash talkers. I like that.
Yeah.
They'll trash talk you before the game, after the game, even if they lose. I always have to respect that. And we're here at Dorado, we're a banter org, and we respect people that'll flame us before the game and still flame us after the game, rather than someone that just waits for you to lose and then they'll finally say something, right? That's soft to me. If you're gonna trash talk before and after, it's all in good
Yeah.
fun. We don't actually hate each other. There's no real animosity. Maybe there is some animosity. Maybe teams like Zero that are just advertisements. Anyways,
Oh.
um, anyways,
Ouch.
yeah. I think that, like I said, they're a good team. And we can talk about teams if you guys want to, but I'll let you guys ask you guys' next questions. I
Well,
won't.
well,
I won't
my,
ramble on for too long.
well, someone in the chat was saying like don't compare Zeal to Coinflip Gaming. I'll say this: when I look at Zeal, at least they're consistently bad. Coinflip, it was like inconsistently to the point of like, hey, what team is gonna show up today? I
Uh,
can't tell you who's gonna show up.
Coin Flip had a
So
chance to make it to the playoffs, like at towards the end of the season still. So I mean, there was still a chance there. So Zeal Blues kind of coming, a little bit closer to a coin flippy type of team. So we'll see.
all right, well, so my next question for you, man, is that you guys are facing some pretty stiff competition in your division, and I know that you're saying, hey, we're gunning for it. So when you take a look, we're taking a look at the standings. You got teams like DNX, TA Light, Hard Hat Zone, TA Knight. What's it mean for you guys to know that it's just not a cakewalk? That there is going to be some adversity and some challenges ahead, but it's going to be a moment that if you guys step up and your team wins it, it's just going to look even better. How's that feel for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think a lot of our players are their big game players. They show up when it matters, and that's something that we look for when we're building the team. Do they have that mental? When we put out our application for people to come to try out, it's pretty extensive, right? Even if we know them from the community, that's kind of like the first cutoff is the application. Do you even have the grit to fill out this kind of relatively long application? And we want to hear your questions, right? We figure out who we want to bring in depending on how they answer the application. What's their drive? What's their motivation? What do they want out of playing for Dorado? What do they expect out of playing for us? So, I think that when it comes time for these big games, like against maybe pretty much only against, in my opinion, in Wednesday, the only teams that I think are really good are Hardhead Zone and DNX. I've seen Hardhead Zone in other leagues, and I know that they're a very good team. I know that they are centered around their mid lane player, Marcel. He's a player that I think is very good. Uh, his teammates they're solid. But if I had to say, if I had to name drop one player, it'd have to be Marzel. DNX. I know they have, I think, Panzora up top. I know he's a very good top laner. So those are those are two star players. That are we'd be more than happy to defeat. And I think that Omega can definitely show up. We lost pretty badly. I'll be honest, we lost pretty badly to Hardhead Zone in the play-in tournament. But we're not. It's not going to deter us. We're not going to be scared. Next time we face them, we're looking to beat them and return the favor.
Yeah, and that was a best of one. So you got a
Right.
best of three now.
Yeah, definitely. Best of ones are coin flippy, but I think that we have a good support system behind our teams where we can adapt on drafting. I think that in terms of draft coaching for them, Hoshi's in charge of that, and I trust his drafting a lot, and I think that if Hardhead Zone isn't very multi-dimensional, if they're not quick to adapt, then I think that they're not going to hold up against us in a best of three. But I do think that it'd be a very contested series, and I think it'll be very different from the best of one that we played a while back.
I just want to let you know, Zol, Flay in the AKA Lord Mickey Mouse in the chat is saying Dorado, future first round exits. Your reaction to that?
Well, I can't remember the last time we were a first round exit. I don't think we've been a first round exit since that one season I told you about when it was me and Hoshi playing together. We usually make it pretty deep runs if we make it to playoffs. So I'm not too worried. Play's just bantering a little bit. Like I said, really, I look at all these teams, and there's maybe three teams that I think are really, going to be able to stop us on our path, or on the path we want to take to the championship.
What are those teams?
I'm like I said, DNX, Hardhead Zone, and I think from Thursday's division, I'd have to give it to Sensei Squad. I think that Sensei
Ooh.
Squad is
Oh,
is the team. I think that Veneris is probably the best mid laner on that side of the bracket, and one of the top mid laners in the whole league. Maybe I'm a little biased because he's a Dorado graduate. We're looking to bring him back eventually, but no, we're not tampering here. We're not going to tamper. Uh, but yeah, I think Veneris is a makes them a dark horse, makes them a contender. So those are the three teams that I'd have to say were probably our biggest competition.
I'm going to be honest with you, Zol. I didn't expect you to say Sensei Squad, not due to the fact that you've had some some rough outings in some of their matches, but you got games like teams like Goldfish Gaming and Horizon Gaming. What about Horizon Gaming and Goldfish that you guys not for you yourself don't view them as top tier?
Well, I mean, they might be good. I'm not saying they're bad teams or anything. I mean, I think that Horizon. I think maybe they're a little. I would say maybe they're overperforming. I do think they're a good team. I don't think that they are better than Sensei Squad. I think that Sensei Squad, maybe if they haven't looked too hot, maybe it's just bad luck, bad form. But they have a lot of star power. I mean, again, Veneris, Nick Lowles, Aquatic Bear. They're all very good players that I've played with a lot in their bot lane. They're no slouches either. So I do think that when push comes to shove and it's the playoffs, the big games that matter, Sensei Squad has the experience and that star firepower to push through these other teams. And I don't know if I can say the same about Horizon or Goldfish.
Wow, wow.
I like the
Hiccup,
hot
your thoughts
takes.
on yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the hot takes. I don't necessarily think. I think Sensei Squad is definitely a top of the bracket type of team. I do want to add that PGO did tell me that they were going to finish top 3, like at minimum, on Thursdays, but they're fourth right now, so we'll see how that runs out. But looking at it, I would say, like, I can definitely see them in the top half of the bracket. Where they're at right now, I think is very comfortable for them. They might be better than Goldfish. I don't think they're better than Horizon, but they can prove me wrong, obviously. I think Horizon is the top in that Thursday, and I think that was kind of my pick at the beginning of the season, thinking that too, based on their roster alone. But looking at like Wednesday, I guess we can go back to that really quick. Hard Hat Zone, I think they're definitely the team to beat, and I would love to see a Dorado versus Hard Hat Zone game. So I'm or not, sorry, DNX is the team to beat. Back up, Hard Hat Zone is a team, definitely a contender to beat, but I do think that DNX is the team to beat, and I would love to see that versus Dorado. So I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah, go ahead, Zoal.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say that like I said, we've already lost to DNX, unfortunately. Maybe
Oh, that's right.
some early season jitters, but I mean, we're looking forward to the Hard Hat Zone game, and like I said, I do think Hard Hat Zone is better than DNX in my opinion. But I mean, I think it's close. I think DNX is good. I just think that Hard Hat Zone is a little better. Again, like I said, Marcel is that clutch player for Hard Hat Zone.
So before we go any further, Brinkles, I did want to say that Zeal White is up on the Goldfish Gaming, currently 1-0. So that's a spicy take right now.
No.
Yeah, so definitely, Sensei Squad is above
Yeah,
Goldfish Gaming,
there's that. Definitely above Goldfish. Okay.
Oh no.
I got you.
That's come on, Mossy. What are you guys doing? Like, you can't.
Oh man.
Man, there goes my pickups every week, right?
Goldfish flipped over.
Gosh. Gregorio calling him out saying, I mean, Goldfish literally beat bottom feeders.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. I always got to look at the opponents, the quality, right? And that's why kind of when you ask me, are you not worried about Goldfish or Horizon too much? It's like I have to say you have to look at the quality of the division, and I think that Wednesday is a much harder division than Thursday. And like I said, that's why I only really rate Sensei Squad out of them, just because I know they're a proven quantity. I know what they're capable of, and I know a lot of their players personally. So, they're my Thursday team to look out for. No matter what place they end out on the in the standings at the end of regular season, I think come playoffs, they're the real threat coming from that side.
Is there anybody on the Thursday or even Wednesday that is like the dark horse that you think?
The dark horse? Well, I mean, I guess in terms of public perception, then the dark horse is Sensei Squad. I think that, after speaking with you guys a little bit, it doesn't seem like you guys hold them. That's fine. It's opinions. You guys don't hold them to the same opinion that I do. So I think that would make them, my dark horse pick. I'd be excited to watch Omega face off against them. I think they're a strong team. But I think that's pretty much them. They're the dark horse. I think that maybe Predictive Gaming Odin is a bit of a dark horse. They're a solid team. They're in fourth place right now. They're strong. They gave us a good thrashing in scrims, but they got it right back in the actual play-in. So I think the dark horse is going to have to come from Thursday just because it's a weaker division. So can't say we expect too much from them.
So
I'd like to hold on, Hiccup, because I wanted to say early on. I did say I do love Sensei Squad because they have the best name in the CCS and Aquatic Bear.
oh yeah, for sure,
But
for sure.
so also Flay is saying that Collective is a dark horse if Philly B gets back to MVP form, and it made me think of a question for you, Zol. We're coming close to the end of the broadcast. If you were to take your mid laner out and insert Flay, what's your team's record and why is it 0-20?
Well, I mean, I think it'd be 0-10 unless plays that bad that we actually get additional games off of us. Oh, I mean in matches, in games, yeah. We're not winning any games in the series. But I mean, hopefully, actually, I feel like even with Flay, we'd be able to get some wins. I trust the Omega, my Omega players to, be able to drag his corpse across. I think we have a lot of firepower. Here at Dorado, we're a top lane org. So I don't know if you guys read the preseason interview or whatever about our team. I have a lot of faith in Pepecito. All of our players, but being a top laner myself, I'm always a little partial and biased towards my top laners. They're all my sons, so I'm always going to hype them up. And I think that at this is maybe my hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I think that Pepecito Municini is the best top laner in CCS, and I think that pretty much whoever Dorado's top laner is in whatever league they play, that's the best top laner in the league, and that's pretty much it. That's not really up for debate. That's just my opinion, and they always back up what I say. So I'm waiting for the day a top laner comes in and slaps my top laners, but it hasn't happened really too much yet. So I'm gonna back up my claim and say Pepe, watch out for him. And I'm not too sure there's really any top laner that can really match him. I know that Panzora did pretty well into him, but I still I'm taking Pepecito any day of the week.
Well,
Pepe's the
Hiccup,
best top laner. There it is.
Jeez, there we go. Well, hey, we're coming up at the end of the broadcast, and I'd like to thank all of you at home for tuning in and watching the CC Zone. Now, don't forget that we have games on Wednesday and Thursday, and this week's streamed matches for Wednesday. We have the Civil War between TA Knight and TA Light. That's going to be on the main feed. Now, on the second feed, the defending champs will face off against Red Panda Gaming. Now, if they show up. Now, for Thursday, we have Goldfish Gaming taking on Iconic Severance for the main event, while Grinchy Goons will look to take down Horizon Gaming on the second stream. Week 4 is upon us. Now, Zoal, thank you so much for joining us. And Hiccup, thank you so much as well. Orion, I know he left earlier, but Zoal, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun, a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get some more team owners on here, just to kind of hear what they think. It's interesting hearing other players' perspectives, but I like hearing maybe that from above perspective that owners might have of their teams, maybe coaches. Really enjoy listening to those. But great job. I really enjoy watching you guys' content, and I'll be here watching next week. Excited. Thanks.
Awesome. Appreciate
All
it.
right, well, thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time on the CC Zone.